West War Room Rivals is sponsored by Emporia State Federal Credit Union. Learn more at esfcu.com. Text or call the number 620-342-2336 to get started today. ESFCU is the Shovix banking of choice, federally insured by the NCUA. This episode of West War Room Rivals is brought to you by JBW Solutions Industrial Safety Services, your remote safety partner no matter where work takes you. From the job site to the office, JBW Solutions brings OSHA 10 and 30 training, plus a full lineup of compliance services straight to your screen. Whether you're a small crew or a major operation, they make safety simple, accessible, and effective. Visit jbwsolutionsllc.com to learn more today and stay compliant wherever you are. West War Room Rivals is sponsored by Field Ops. Kansas sports fields just got an upgrade with Field Ops. Looking to reserve top quality sports fields in Kansas? Whether you're organizing youth tournaments, adult leagues, or weekend pickup games, Field Ops is your go-to platform for discovering and booking the best athletic fields across the state. Instant online reservations, detailed field info such as locations, amenities, and photos. Field Ops is also trusted by coaches, organizers, and athletes. From Wichita to Overland Park, Field Ops has got you covered with real-time availability and streamlined scheduling. Get in the game at gofieldops.com/Kansas-KS. That's gofieldops.com/Kansas-KS.
We're off and rolling tonight. Back for another episode of the West War Room Rivals. I am your host tonight. I am Corey representing Broncos country. Let's start with roll call. Go.
I am Austin representing the 0-1 Chiefs Kingdom.
Cody.
And I'm representing Raider Nation. This is Cody. Put the ones up for undefeated teams.
And I'm Matt, also representing the other undefeated team, the Broncos.
All right. And I do want to give a quick shout out to Spy Optic for the sunglasses. Make sure you guys are using your code Orange20 at checkout for the awesome sunglasses. Guys, tonight we have another special guest. It's content creator. So this is something that we've been wanting to do more of, getting more content creators on the show with us. And there's a good game this weekend. The Broncos Colts matching up with them. So without further ado, welcome into the war room from Colts Brigade, Jackson.
What's up, Jackson?
What's up, Jackson?
Jackson, I do want to, before we kind of get into the topics, one thing I do want to mention, and one thing that I do like asking other people, I want to hear about your kind of journey into the content creating, because we've talked about our story and how we've done it. Matt was kind of one who blogged on the side, and he kind of joined over with the Shovix sports stuff. And then, Cody, when we were creating the War Room kind of optic, Cody was the Raiders representative, and so what's your story, and how did you get into the content creating world?
Well, back in 2022, it was particularly kind of just hard time to be a Colts fan, I would say. And I'd be talking to everyone about it. And my good friend was like, man, you should start a page on Instagram talking about sports and everything. And I was like, that's a good idea. So right around the off season in 2022, I decided to make Colts Brigade. And yeah, I've just been going since then.
So you've always been a Colts fan, at least, right?
That's an interesting story.
Okay.
I've been a Colts fan. This season will make this team the team I've been the fan of the longest. But
what team were you? What were your teams before?
I started out as an Eagles fan.
Oh, okay.
That's smart. You made a good choice.
Yeah. It's so bizarre because everyone that's like asks me, how are you a Colts fan? It's like, well, long story. But on the right around that 2017 period where Carson Wentz was really like at his peak, is when I hopped on the train. And then in 2021, when the Eagles, booted him out, I was just like, man, that upsets me on just numerous levels. And then, I know Howie Roseman's getting a lot of praise now, but we were coming off of drafting JJ Arcega-Whiteside over DK Metcalf.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. And I was like, man, I'm done with this. And even though the Eagles are successful now, I don't regret my move in the slightest. I got to go to a game in 2021, and I'm so happy being a Colts fan.
That's cool.
And I know it's been kind of a rough stretch for the Colts, but I mean, it's still a good franchise. Like, they've had proud years, proud moments, great players. It's a good fan base as far as that goes. You guys have any questions before we get going on the topics for tonight? Cody?
I think I got one for you as a Colts fan. So what was your favorite Colts moment since you've been a full-time fan of theirs that comes to mind?
Oof. Let's see. Well, one that really has truly just stayed with me is the Christmas Day game against the Cardinals in 2021, where Carson Wentz does that beautiful touchdown pass to pretty much seal the game. But there's been also, I would say, Anthony Richardson's game where he came back from the benching against the Jets was pretty high. Maybe it's just really a testament to how down in the dumps we've been the past couple of years, but this past weekend might be one of the biggest highlights.
Yeah, so let's jump into the game this weekend. I'm going to go ahead and just admit right away, I didn't think there was a chance that the Colts were going to win this game, just because you hear all offseason, quarterback, bring in Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson's time. Anthony Richardson gets hurt in preseason. I didn't know if it was a distraction. I know there's a lot of things, but Colts do have some good skill position players. They have some really good defensive players. I know he really likes some of the defensive players that they have. So I will be the first to say I did not think the Colts were going to win this game. And then when we started watching this game, it was just they just inserted themselves immediately right away. Kind of walk us through some game highlights that maybe stood out to you during this 33-8 win.
Well, I would say starting right off the bat with that first drive, I actually liked getting possession of the ball first. I was like, a great way to set kind of the tempo for the game. And Daniel Jones, I thought immediately I saw that consistency that Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard seemed to really be preaching that they saw in him. And then when we walked away with 3 on the first drive, I was like, okay. And I was almost more excited to see the defense than the offense. I hated watching our defense with Gus Bradley as our defensive coordinator. And I thought to, start the Dolphins' first drive off with an interception by Cam Bynum. I was so pumped. And then really from there, scoring every time we got the ball.
Yep.
I was kind of riding a high the whole time.
You guys had a perfect offense, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's that Daniel Jones effect, I'm telling you.
So let's jump into Daniel Jones. Take it away.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm not going to say I thought I'm never going to, I've always been a Daniel Jones fan, but even I can't say that what happened week 1, even I couldn't have even talk out of my ass to see that coming, right? He kind of played above probably his actual talent level, which is awesome. But we also have to be honest. When he first came up with the Giants, he was putting up 300-plus yards, multiple touchdown games, and then it just slowly went downhill there. But I think that's more of an organizational thing. The Colts have good receivers. They have Jonathan Taylor. They drafted Tyler Warren. He's got people around him now to where he can be a very much Alex Smith-like quarterback on that team, and it'd be very good for them. And to me, Alex Smith would be considered a good quarterback. Just get it to the people who are better than you around you, and let them do the work. And that's what it was, right? Quick passes to Michael Pittman, quick passes to Tyler Warren, and letting them do the dirty work. So I think it was a great, game plan. I think that shows that, the coaching staff might be a little better than people would expect, but I think Daniel Jones came in and did his job, and that's really all you can ask of from a quarterback. Especially, and no offense to Anthony Richardson, the dude is a playmaker with his legs, but he cannot throw a football. So you just having someone in there who can just throw the football and do what's asked of him, I think it's huge, which is why I feel comfortable saying Daniel Jones is the answer, ... for this offense. So I'm a big Daniel Jones guy. I think that's a winnable division. So I think if he comes out and just plays consistent football with the Colts normally having a competitive defense, I think that's a playoff team if you get a consistent Daniel Jones.
So Daniel Jones was 22 of 29, 272 and a touchdown. Looks like he had 7 rushes, for 26 yards. But is this offense sustainable under Daniel Jones, in your opinion?
This is a good question. I think one more thing about the Dolphins game. If you're to ride just the optimism train with the Colts, and Daniel Jones represents this consistency, and the Alex Smith's comparison is the exact comparison Chris Ballard made. So yeah. I do love that comparison. Just doing what you need to do.
Yep.
This first game for us is exactly what you would want to see. I would say it's a great, the definition of domination in all 3 phases. Yeah. But the question of if it's sustainable, it's why I love this Broncos matchup so much. It's such a great opportunity to see what we truly are like as a team this year. I could not be more excited to watch that. But even going off of Daniel Jones's 2022 season, I think there still is those little moments where it's just like, oh, you're doing too much. The game really just can't be in his hands. It has to be this totally kind of manufactured togetherness, like rhythm of relying on your playmakers. Because then if it's, I don't know, it's just – so I don't know.
Yeah, it's week 1, and we talked even Sunday night during our, kind of recap show of week 1. No overreactions on week 1, right? It's still week 1. We really don't know what the Dolphins are going to look like the rest of the season. Just like, this little stretch that the Colts have coming up, we don't know what the Colts are going to look like. Maddie, do you have anything?
Yeah, I think Daniel Jones had a pretty good game. I always said like the first game, is going to set the tone for the season. In regards to like the Broncos, their tone was set against the number 2 defense with the Titans. I think your tone is going to get set in the upcoming matchup against the Broncos, because now Daniel Jones is playing like as of today, they're officially the number 1 defense as of today. That obviously is subject to change as the season goes on. So, that's going to set the tone. How is Daniel Jones going to do with these elite defenses as he goes on? To Austin's point, I think he's the answer for now for the Colts, but I see him in a way that like Ryan Fitzpatrick is, like he'll be the guy to lead the Colts until they can find someone that is going to be the guy. So he's the guy for now until they find someone better.
Cody?
Yeah, so like Jackson, I know that there's a lot of optimism around this, but and we're foreshadowing because I know later on in the show we're going to talk about head coaches on hot seats, and the Colts head coach specifically is definitely on one. So I guess what I'm curious in, and just looking at the stats, and again, it's the NFL professionals, and the fact that the Colts were able to look as dominant as they did. They put up 418 total yards. That's including, rush and passing. And they only committed 4 penalties, which basically means they were a pretty disciplined team for the most part. But then again, you look at how the Dolphins played, and they look like a canned tuna. They did not look like the Dolphins that we've known to see them the last few seasons. And if anything, they look like the most dejected team. So I think, again, we don't want to overreact on week one and say like Bo Nix is a bust or anything like that. And I'm not trying to say that. But I think for the Colts is like also too with like Daniel Jones, like, and when we get to talking about the Broncos and Colts a little bit, what's Daniel Jones going to do with some of these more competitive defenses where they're actually well coached? And is he going to make Daniel Jones type decisions? And I'm under the assumption that, look, Daniel Jones is a fine quarterback, but, he's also not the guy that's going to win you playoff games. I don't think he's going to get you to the Super Bowl. He's okay. He's better than Anthony Richardson. I think we can all comfortably say that. And maybe Anthony Richardson's probably not going to be in the NFL much longer, but I don't know if I'm here to say like Alex Smith like a season, because Alex Smith had two good coaches that he played for, which was John Harbaugh and then Andy Reid immediately after that. So the latter part of his season he was given like head coaches that knew how to work with quarterbacks. Shane Steichen, the jury's still out, and also Daniel Jones. Really, what do we have in Daniel Jones is my opinion on that.
Yeah, I think the counter argument to that, and it's just kind of the recent wave of quarterbacks, is like, I think the Geno Smiths and Baker Mayfields of the world give these guys a longer like chance of success in the NFL. When you're a high draft pick like Daniel Jones was, after you move on from your first team or so, you're kind of just a career backup, probably never getting a shot. But now you're seeing a lot more. You're getting these the Sam Darnolds, like he just cashed in. So I think that's the only thing. I think even if the Colts isn't Daniel Jones's last stop, it's still a place for him to showcase what he has to maybe be that guy. And it's a great team for it because their skill positions are loaded. Let's be honest. Like a lot of teams would love to have what they have. So it's a perfect opportunity, and it's just a matter if he wants to capitalize on it or not.
Sure.
Yeah, so let's talk about the defense real quick. You had mentioned earlier you were more excited to see this defense. It had 3 sacks, and then obviously I think I didn't get a chance to see the Cam Bynum one, but I did see the Letu interception. Now he just dropped back, and he literally read the route so perfectly.
Beautiful.
And I was actually a big fan of him coming into the NFL, and I do think the Colts got a steal there with him, high motor guy, and he's a good piece to build around on that. So give us your thoughts on the defense, and is there someone, that maybe you're going to pay maybe a little bit closer attention to as the season kind of goes along?
Ooh, yeah. I really liked what I saw from the defense against Miami. I thought the Latu interception specifically was a great example of the mad scientist that Lou Anarumo is as a defensive coordinator. And then I think the Cam Bynum interception might be more on Tua than than us. But yeah, I think really you can watch everything or everyone on our defense for this these upcoming games with just a little bit closer attention, in that Lou Anarumo's scheme is just so specifically catered to who he has available to him. I mean, I know I don't even think, God, I can never pronounce his name. JTT, who we drafted in the second round.
I know we know what you're talking about.
Tumola.
Yeah.
Gesundheit.
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me.
He was inactive against the Dolphins, but I don't even think it was an injury matter. I think it was just because of the certain scheme that we were going to run. It was, with the defense, I think Xavier Howard even said, we knew that once we took away Tua's first read, we would make him panic, essentially. And
that's a guy who's familiar with the Dolphins.
And a little salty with him too. Love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm also really watching what we do at linebacker for the moment, just with Jalen Carlisle's on injured reserve for the moment. I really do like Joe Bacci
Mhm.
was a special teams guy for a long time under Lou on the Bengals, and I think he's impressive to watch currently. But yeah, really, I'm keeping my eyes on everybody on this defense, just because game by game, everyone can.
Yeah, and I will point out, Lou Anarumo is a really, really good defensive coordinator. I mean, he's been interviewed for head coaching jobs over the last 2 or 3 seasons, and what he was able to do with the Bengals. I mean, he was literally the guy who was tasked with shutting the Chiefs down in the playoff games. So that's a steal for the Colts. And honestly, I think as the season goes on and when we talk about the hot seat, this could be a guy who could possibly step into that head coaching role for the Colts. And I don't think Colts fans would be disappointed in that. So now let's kind of transition over to Matt and I's game of the week, obviously, the Broncos and Colts. There's a lot of pieces, and we kind of touched on these last night. It's the defense, Broncos defense versus Colts offense. This is a little bit of a what if moment for Daniel Jones, right? Like, what if Denver doesn't be aggressive? Like they tend to not start the games aggressively on defense. What are you going to be looking for as far as the Colts offense going up against this Broncos defense?
Well, I'm going to be looking for a few things specifically. I've really been thinking back to last year's Broncos-Colts game. Game that the Colts had the lead in until that fourth quarter, where everything just completely fell apart. But I'm really thinking this will be a Jonathan Taylor game. Now, I would really like to see Daniel Jones maybe working a few shots here and there, because him airing the ball out is something he did quite well against Miami, but that Broncos defense is a whole different beast. But Tony Pollard was their lead receiver on the team in receiving this last game, so I'm totally nervous. But I think we would definitely lean on Jonathan Taylor. Hopefully, with him not dropping anything.
Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to bring up too. That was my biggest concern, and I think the Colts were really the first ones to kind of like expose that weakness in Denver's defense, which was that interior line. And Jonathan Taylor just had his way, and I will preach it to the day I die. If Jonathan Taylor doesn't drop the ball before the end zone, that game ends very differently. But, again, two different teams now. Again, Jonathan Taylor is going to remember that, and he's like, I'm not going to let that happen again. And Denver probably isn't going to forget what he actually was able to do against them up until the second half. So you have to – they're going to approach each other differently than what they did last year, and as they should. But, one of the things that the Colts defense did well, so you got to shifting gears a little bit, was they played very well. Like, they had that shell around Miami. Like, there was no deep shots, really not too many deep shots. Like, Tyreek Hill led the receivers with 40 yards, and that's not very Tyreek Hill-like. So Bo Nix struggled last game. Are they going to come at him with that same style? Do you like, let's make like a little shell and see if we can get Nix to make a mistake again? And then the Broncos are going to look at it as like, cool, let's see if we can fluster Daniel Jones, because now he was able to have his way with the Miami Dolphins. See if we can fluster him a little bit and see if we can make him make mistakes. So this is going to be a chess match. Which QB is going to make the biggest mistakes? Which QB is going to, make the right reads and manipulate that defense? How is the defense going to stack up against Jonathan Taylor, who is a phenomenal running back? How are they going to stack up each other now? How are they going to approach each other now?
Cody?
I think one of the things I'm looking for, and we talked about this yesterday when we were doing our preview, was the trenches, like the offensive line for not only the Colts, but the Broncos. Same with the defensive front on both ends. I mean, if you want to get the run game going, and this is also going for the Broncos, who you guys were concerned with yesterday with Sean Payton's play calling, where he still didn't even really dive into the run that much. It wasn't until late in the game, and the offense had been really not very balanced for majority of the game, that he started running the ball with this Colts team and how their defensive plays. And I think their defense is a legit defense that you cannot just assume that they're going to roll over. They played, the Dolphins, and it is what it is, because the Dolphins defense is still a pretty formidable defense. It's that offense that was horrid. And I think, if we're going to go trenches and we're going to look at the battle for the line of scrimmage, Jonathan Taylor, if he, has a couple of breakaways, I imagine too, that's going to soften up the secondary for the Broncos, because now they're going to want to, load up in the box, and maybe that adds in play action for the Colts, for Warren, and for who's your guys, Pittman Jr., and he's going to have a tough assignment with having Surtain on him. I think there's a lot of things for both teams that they need to really, take control of early in this game. For the Broncos, like, if you want to enforce your will, you got to get home to Daniel Jones, get him happy feet, so that way he throws inadvertent interceptions and take advantage of that. For the Colts, it's be aggressive, smash mouth, wear out the Broncos. I think it's all going to start in the trenches for both teams, and I think that's how you get Jonathan Taylor involved for the Colts side of it, at least, because if that line of scrimmage can beat up on that Broncos front, you have a really good shot of having Jonathan Taylor being that workhorse that we know he can be. And let's not disrespect him either. Like, a couple seasons ago, he was a top 5 running back, and I still think he still has that ability to do so. He now just needs to get behind a healthy offensive line, an actual legit offense where you got to respect the quarterback. And I think for the Broncos, this is actually a good challenge to see where they stand defensively as well.
Daniel Jones versus Broncos defense. What do you think?
They're going to get torched.
Okay, easy, kid, easy.
Okay.
No, I think it's really going to depend on the game plan, though. You don't want to be too predictable, right? I think one I mentioned yesterday was, the Colts don't want to become like the Michigan offense against Oklahoma over the weekend, where it was run, pass on 3rd and long, punt. Yes, you want to establish the run, but you also don't want to run every time on 1st down to force that run game. You want to establish a little bit of a run and then do some play actions. I'd also like to see a little trickery. Denver's defense is good. We know Tyler Warren, former quarterback. Let's see what he's got. This would be a game to try to pull some of those out, because I know Matt said Denver's defense is number 1 right now. Well, they've been number 1 or 2 for about a year and a half, 2-3 years now. So I think we can just say Denver's defense is really good, plain and simple.
They're all right.
Yeah, they're okay. So I'd like to see him pull some tricks out of the bag. Not all of them. Empty 1 or 2 in a timely manner, but I don't want them to become predictable. Yes, you need to establish Jonathan Taylor, but don't get repetitive and don't get predictable. If Denver's defense knows what is coming, you stand 0% chance. I don't care who the other offense is. If a defense of that level knows what's coming, you stand no chance. So I think it's really going to come down to the game plan. Can they execute the game plan? Can they maintain the game plan? And then we've mentioned it a lot of times. Can Shane Steichen, can he make in-game adjustments at halftime and on the go? Because your game plan is not going to work 100%. Can you adjust on the go, halftime, and do that? So I think the Colts have the talent to make this a really good game and win, but it's a matter of actually going out and doing so, and your coaching staff putting together a good plan. And again, this is still Daniel Jones, so your game plan could be executed and Daniel Jones could ruin it.
More likely than not, I'll say.
That is part of his career the last few years, especially in New York. So, if they can get him in a rhythm, I actually think this will be another good 4-quarter game. It's just going to be a good football game.
You think Daniel Jones is going to have a good game against the Broncos defense?
He could.
I mean, sure. I think
our definitions of good here. I'm not saying he's going to come out and look like Patrick Mahomes. If he comes out and plays mistake-free football, he does what's asked. If he doesn't turn it over, if he can make some throws, don't just be stupid. If he can do that, I do think this will be a good game, because Colts defense is good enough to be competitive.
Yeah. And
if Daniel Jones doesn't just gift the Broncos short fields or stupid plays, this can be a competitive game for the 4 quarters.
I mean, there's no doubt that Daniel Jones might be able to help keep him in the game, but also too, like, I almost want to throw out over under more than 2 interceptions that Daniel Jones throws on this defense, because I think Daniel Jones is prone to make mistakes. I mean, no offense in New York. I'm not trying to say that Daboll is an all-knowing offensive juggernaut and he knows everything and knows how to run a team, but there was also a lot of times where Daniel Jones just made poor decisions. And I think having this Broncos defense put him in a pretzel is what we're more forecasting to see. But I also just love giving you crap about Daniel Jones. You're such a stand for him. I got to push back on you a little bit.
It's really weird. Like your quarterback at one point was a worse NFL quarterback than Daniel Jones. But like now you're happy with him. So it's like, you know what?
I'm gonna talk my shit. That's right.
That's fair. No, anything's possible. Right? I mean, Patrick Mahomes we saw him in the Super Bowl. He looked like Daniel Jones. So like there are moments where people rise up. JJ McCarthy for 3 quarters looked like Daniel Jones. And then he didn't.
Closer to Tua, but okay.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And Matt, I know you have something about Tyler Warren here in a second. I do want to ask Jackson real quick. The Colts win this game if Daniel Jones throws how many pass attempts do they need to keep him around in order for you to feel comfortable that maybe the game plan is kind of working in their favor?
That's a good question.
Oof.
Because just think, he had 29 pass attempts against the Dolphins, but obviously Dolphins defense and Broncos defense are completely different.
Well,
so like, what is the comfort level that Jackson would sit here on Sunday and say, damn, this is actually a really damn good game plan that Shane Steichen and the coaching staff put together for Daniel Jones?
God. Well, I would say probably around that Dolphins mark or below. Maybe like I would say 24, 25, maybe around there. Surely it would be a great excuse to dial up some more creative plays like Tyler Warren as quarterback or something like that. Because to have the game fully or relying fully on Daniel Jones is quite, nerve-wracking. But
and you had 40 carries as a team, 40 rushes for 156 yards compared to 29 pass attempts. If you can keep it around there and you can get maybe more than a better than a 3.9 average for Jonathan Taylor, which I still think he was going to have above a 3.9 average just based on Denver's run defense. So if you guys can stick to that 40 to 45 carry mark for your running backs, because DJ Giddens even got some carries, and I think that they'll still work him in a little bit more. So yeah, I think that you're kind of right on with that. If he can keep between the 29 and under around that 25 mark, that they could be onto something here. So
if Daniel Jones is throwing 40 times or more, Broncos win by a lot.
Yeah. I will say you really can't stress enough how on point Daniel and the whole offense needs to be, because it's looking pretty unlikely that Charvarius Ward makes it past concussion protocol this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then on that same note, Jalen Jones is most likely going to go on injured reserve. So we're going to be down to Xavier Howard, Kenny Moore, Blackman, and undrafted free agent cornerback. So
nice.
We're going to have to play pretty clean football.
Well, lucky for you, and we're getting ready to talk about here in a few minutes about the slow starting Broncos offense. But Matty has something about Tyler Warren.
Yeah, so Tyler Warren, he had a pretty quiet offseason. In the preseason, very quiet, not talked about a whole lot. First game, 7 receptions, 76 yards. He was someone that I actually wanted Denver. They were in prime position to get a top tight end, and they passed on him and got Jahdae Barron instead. Still a good pick, but I was like, we don't need this right now. We need a tight end. You guys ended up getting him, and I'd say he worked out pretty well. So going into this matchup with Denver and knowing that Denver's Achilles heel for the longest time has been trying to cover a tight end, how involved or how much of a role now, as opposed to against the Dolphins, do you think Tyler Warren's going to have in this game?
I would most certainly say he'll play an even bigger part. For the longest time for the Colts, since Jack Doyle retired for us, we haven't had a crutch to lean on at all. I would say he would be one of the top 3 targets this Sunday. Absolutely. I think really just going forward, the mindset should be how can we work in Tyler Warren the most?
Yeah.
But yeah, just give him the ball, and those easy throws that Daniel can make, those would be the ones where Tyler Warren would take it for 6-10 yards, whatever. But yeah, whenever you can get him the ball, give him the ball.
Yeah, I think the stats from week 1 is on the dropbacks. Tyler Warren was the first read on 35% of dropbacks. And I agree. I think that should bump up. Let's get that closer to 45 or 50. Honestly, right? I mean, especially in a matchup like this where they mentioned Achilles heel. Also, just he's really talented. So I agree. They really should just, why not give him 20 receptions? Like, there's not a max that he can get. Like, there's no rules against it. So force feed him.
Yeah, he also led the team in targets, I think, with 9. So that just shows that, like, he's Daniel Jones, like you said, first read. He's 9 out of 10 times he's going to get the ball first. Also, to kind of carry on with Jonathan Taylor, if the run game is working, that play action is going to work really well. And who benefits from play action the most? Tight ends. And when you have a super athletic tight end like Tyler Warren, yeah, Broncos. I'm not saying that the Broncos are on trouble, but there's some weapons that can get Denver if Denver, doesn't respect the Colts or takes them for granted, I think.
I had mentioned last night that the one person that kind of scares me as far as maybe an unknown right now is Alec Pierce. He's their deep ball guy. I don't think Surtain's going to shadow Michael Pittman. I think it's going to be whatever side. So I think there could be times where Pierce is actually going to match up with, Riley Moss or someone else. And I think that's going to be the time that they're going to maybe try to take those shots. I do like the deep ball. I do think Daniel Jones can throw a deep ball, and Alec Pierce is one of the better deep ball guys. He just seems to find the deep pass. I mean, he had 1 catch for 36 yards. So, I mean, just even going back to, last year when Anthony Richardson was always throwing, the deep ball to Alec Pierce, he's kind of one. If there wasn't Tyler Warren or Jonathan Taylor, it would actually be Alec Pierce that I'm kind of worried about. How do you foresee maybe Alec Pierce getting more involved this week? Because he only had 3 targets and the 1 catch for 36 yards. How do you see them maybe getting Alec Pierce more involved?
Yeah, well, I think you nailed it on the head. Deep balls are Alec Pierce's strong suit. Absolutely. And weirdly enough, one of the conversations this offseason was that, well, if Daniel Jones does become the Colts quarterback, Alec Pierce may be one of the people who does not benefit from that quarterback choice, and that we saw the Anthony Richardson beautiful deep ball week 1 against Houston last season. But I don't know if Daniel can throw it that far. But
well, at least Daniel Jones is more accurate.
Yeah. With the Anthony can make that throw, but the 5-yard out, nope, can't make it. But yeah, I think working in those occasional deep throws and even the 36-yard catch, those kind of bigger chunk plays being more explosive will certainly be crucial in just gaining any sort of leverage we can get on the Broncos.
Well, it could be a momentum thing too, right? Like it could be like a 3rd and 12 or a 3rd and 15. And maybe they do dial up one of those seam routes or even a go route for them. And, they say, we'll take our chance here. Denver's got to know where he's at all times. And it honestly wouldn't surprise me if they do end up matching up Surtain on him a couple of times, especially in those situations where it's like, hey, they could take the shots here. But I think anything underneath, I think the Colts are going to have that really well, just based on Denver's still thin at linebacker. And Maddie, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think Dre Greenlaw is expected to play again this week, right?
Yeah. Him and Jonathan Franklin Meyer were absent of practice today, so
yeah. So I mean, and then you got to talk about the running back screen game, getting Alex Singleton matched up with the Jonathan Taylor or even a Giddens, so that could even be kind of a headache. So again, kind of like last week when Matt and I were talking about the Titans game, there's still things that scare us a little bit about this matchup as well. And we know this is a little bit different of an offense than what Denver just faced. But I think this game will set up similar to how the Titans game kind of played out, where it's going to be really close. Denver's going to maybe struggle to get the offense to get, fully ahead. But I think the defense will continue to do enough to where the offense can then, or maybe even a defensive touchdown. I think Denver's due for a couple of those. But Cody, you go ahead.
Yeah, so Jackson, we're talking a lot about Jonathan Taylor and his effectiveness in the run game, but how do you see the Colts utilizing Jonathan Taylor so that way he's not stopped by this Broncos defense? Because obviously he's very versatile, but what do the Colts have to do for him to get going and stay involved? What do you think the Colts have to do for game planning wise?
I think working in some halfback screens will do him some justice in staying in rhythm. I think the one of Daniel Jones's great abilities is that kind of RPO game. He said it's something that definitely attracted him to the Colts offense, reading the playbook and everything. So I think working in some screens for Jonathan Taylor, as well as, those easy check downs coming off of blocks and anything like it. It's something that really keeps the chains moving for us.
Are you concerned that, Jonathan Taylor will be ineffective against this Broncos defense?
Yeah, to a point. Yeah, definitely. I think, and it does whole nother batch of concern is that, I feel Shane struggles sometimes of, if something doesn't work once, he'll never go back to it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that, but hopefully because we're so deep at receiver and everything like that, we would be able to kind of spread the ball out more. So we wouldn't ever have to feel like Jonathan Taylor wouldn't work, but it's absolutely a possibility that they just shut down Taylor completely. I would not rule that out at all.
Yeah, and one thing I want to see, but I want to ask you, being a Colts guy, I don't think we saw it a whole lot in week 1, but would you like the Colts to maybe draw up some more plays utilizing Daniel Jones's running ability just against this, the quick edges on Denver, maybe a couple, read options or something like that? Is that something you might like to see a little this week, just utilizing Daniel Jones's legs?
Absolutely. When he, I don't know if that big hit from Javon Holland is that him? Yeah. No, sorry, Matthew Judon. I don't know if that took away any sort of read option plan that might have been in the game plan for Miami, but absolutely, I think the read option game with Jones and Taylor or Giddens could do us a great favor in keeping Denver on its toes defensively. But with how many players like Taylor or Pittman or whomever complement the wheels Daniel Jones has on him, I would love to see us use it more.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the only bright spots of his career in New York was some of those nice run plays he had. And I was just curious. I didn't know if the Colts world kind of feels like, well, running our quarterback a little too much last year is the reason, a lot of issues kind of crept up on the season last year. So I didn't know if, Colts fans or people in the Colts world were like, let's minimize that. Let's try to have a quarterback be like a traditional quarterback. Or are we like, no, man, let's use all the talents that we probably can, whatever happens. So I was just curious on that.
Yeah, I definitely, Anthony Richardson has definitely damaged my my belief in the capability of my quarterback being able to stay healthy. But yeah, no, I don't. I would hope it wouldn't Anthony Richardson's failures in that department wouldn't take away from the opportunities Daniel Jones might get as a scrambler. Because, I mean, like you said, that is one of his strengths. So in such a great matchup with the Broncos defense, I think doing that, it's something you have to do. In a way, if you're, completely putting it outside of anything that you're willing to do, I think that's, a terrible decision on Shane Steichen's part.
Yeah, you're not doing yourself any favors with that, right? Like everything's on the table in a matchup like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we get on to the next kind of segment with the AFC West, give us your score prediction this weekend.
Well, what's funny, I have not predicted the Colts to win this game in any prediction I've done. But I don't think it would be right for me to go against my team.
There you go.
As me repping them here. So I'll say definitely a close one. I'll say Colts 27-24.
Okay.
Matt, we might have some problems if Denver's defense is giving up that many points, huh?
Yeah.
It's because Daniel Jones is the truth.
Oh, yeah. That or Sean Payton keeps going 3 and out because he won't run the ball.
I would say if they're scoring 27 points, I can rest assured it wasn't from Daniel Jones. It was from Jonathan Taylor. All right.
Okay. Also, too, not to poo-poo on the Colts or anything. I just want to point out Jonathan Taylor's last fumble was against the Broncos in December. I think it was like week 15. I think
it was a crucial game.
It was the last fumble he had since then, and he hasn't fumbled since. So I'm just want to point that out there that the Broncos were the last team to make him lose the ball. So
yeah,
take that for what it's worth.
Hard to fumble in the offseason, but yeah, you're right.
Come on, man. I will say, even though I'm a Daniel Jones truther, like I still think Denver wins 24-13. After all that glazing I've done, it's still 24-13.
You can just offer Patrick Mahomes for Daniel Jones straight up if you want. Sounds like you want Danny Dimes more.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to give me like Daniel Jones in your next 3,400 first-round picks.
Imagine this. Tyreek Hill back in KC with Daniel Jones.
Yes.
Just what he wanted.
More importantly, Jackson, congratulations. You guys would have Patrick Mahomes.
I know, for real.
He's a big fan of Daniel Jones at that point.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. You did something. Cody, give us a score prediction.
I will go Broncos. I'm going to go 28. And I'll say 20 for the Colts. I think they can put up 20. But 28-20.
I still feel like it's going to be similar to last week, 20-12. Denver won against the Titans. I still think it's going to be something similar. I am going to freak out if Jonathan Taylor gets in an early rhythm. And that scares me for the simple fact of I know how Vance Joseph likes to start games. And he's not very aggressive until certain points, which, again, that's not a bad thing per se. It's just kind of annoying because your defense can be really, really good if you just play aggressively against maybe a quarterback who's not going to be used to that kind of pressure. So I'm going to go 20-12, but it honestly wouldn't surprise me if Denver does fall in this game just based on I do know the Colts have the weapons that could maybe challenge the Broncos defense with that. So
and this is in Indy, right?
This is in Indy.
Yeah, it's in Indy. Yep.
I'm already going to predict right now, first play of the game is going to be play action to Jonathan Taylor, Alex Pierce for a wide open touchdown on Riley Moss because they sell out for the run on the first play.
I mean,
I'm also a big fan of the Irsay lady standing on the sidelines. I think that changes just like a vibe itself. I know that's completely random, but that just you made me think of that when you said it was in Indy. Big fan of her just being on the sideline. I don't know why, but I feel like that's such a tone setter.
Mm-hmm.
And it really probably doesn't matter in the scheme of the football game. But I don't know. I feel like that's just a vibe change.
I mean, it could be. And now let's talk a little bit real quick about an easier matchup for you guys in a couple weeks.
Don't go there. You son of a...
Hold on, Cody. It is an easier matchup. You have to be honest.
No, I won't. No.
Oh, okay.
No, we won our game. So
let's put this into perspective real quick. Like, realistically, how do you guys think you would stack up with the AFC West teams?
You know, I'm actually not that confident. The Raiders game is a game that I've also been kind of predicting, whether it be in my head or on paper or making a post out of it. It's a game I have the Raiders winning. I just think that kind of veteran coaching is something that Shane Steichen can just kind of fail against.
mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but yeah, you know, the only thing in the AFC West that gives me kind of this stupid amount of confidence is the fact that, you know, Patrick Mahomes hasn't beaten the Colts in the regular season.
Oh, let's go.
Let's be honest, though, the Colt actually that division has played the AFC West probably the best in the last like 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, that's always been a tough one for everybody. Yeah.
But we can even go back to pre-Patrick Mahomes. Like, we had them in the Colts in that playoff game with Alex Smith and like Dwayne Bowe stepping out of, or not Dwayne, but was it Dwayne Bowe? I don't remember. It's been so long. Those were dark days. But, you know, we were doing well, and then like Jamal Charles and Brandon Flowers got hurt, and then we just choked it away. Like when we had those offenses with like Dick Vermeil and Al Saunders back in the day, we would put up like 45 points on the Colts, but they would put up 60 on us. Like, we've just
had a
never
guy, I think, named Peyton Manning, I think. Some scrub, I think.
Some scrub Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
No idea who that would possibly be.
So I understand that like sense of belief, because you guys specifically and that division have played the AFC West probably the toughest out of the AFC divisions.
Yeah. I mean, I think it has to mean something that Matt Ryan can knock off the Chiefs and at his worst.
At his worst. At his worst, he was still just
yeah, that was that Chris Jones roughing the passer one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember that one.
I think it was 2020. I think it was either 2020 or 2022. The Colts eliminated the Raiders from wild card contention. I think it was Carson Wentz, a late touchdown. And it was a low scoring game. It wasn't even that impressive, but the Colts beat us, and I think they went on to the wild card or eliminated us at least from contention. So Colts have always like screwed over the Raiders for the last few years that I can recall.
And Chiefs specifically. So yeah, I mean, I get it.
Yeah. And then don't forget about the 2022 Colts-Broncos game. Worst game I've ever seen.
Dude, we don't talk about that. Yeah, we don't.
Was that the punt game?
That was a punt game, but then I think there was a safety, and then it was like a 13-12 game, I think.
That was that one,
or like something real low scoring, where Nathaniel Hackett continuously coached himself.
That was a primetime game, wasn't it?
It was all field goals. I don't think a single touchdown was scored.
Yeah,
it was all field goals.
I don't remember this game.
There's a reason, but it's not memorable.
In overtime, you guys are, about to. It's you score a touchdown, you win. And Russell Wilson misses a wide open Cortland Sutton, I think.
It was KJ Hamler.
Yes,
KJ Hamler.
And then forces it to Sutton or someone like that, and Gilmore breaks it up.
But
let's go Russell. Let's go Russell.
Because we were like, hey, we got him. It was a good defensive stand. It was going to be a punt. We were going to get the ball back. And we muffed it. Nathaniel Hackett continuously dressed up as a head coach, pretended to be a head coach.
Pat Shurmur was the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I just remember that being a primetime game, and we all literally just had to suffer through that game. Like,
you could hear it in Al Michaels' voice.
Yeah.
He was so sad. We were all Al Michaels that night. We were all so sad.
Right.
And I was like,
all right.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, he was like, all right, and one more minute they're gonna punt again, and then 2 minutes they're gonna punt.
Yeah. And it's just like, I swear to, like, let's not even talk about it, because if it goes like that again this week, I might freak out. No, neither team would like end in a tie at that point. Like, just give us both losses. I don't care.
Yeah, I think I'd rather get blown out by.
Honestly, yes.
You mean get blown out by 70? Would you rather get blown out by 70?
Ooh, I don't know.
Come on now.
I have had to suffer through the largest comeback in NFL history, though. So.
Was that the Vikings game, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah, the Vikings.
I remember that.
Well, at least you weren't beaten by Baker Mayfield, who showed up on a Tuesday night to play Thursday evening and walked off on a fourth quarter play. So
Baker Mayfield is the actual truth.
Okay,
though.
I'll up you on that because like a week later on Christmas, Baker Mayfield just absolutely torches the Broncos. Just completely gets Nathaniel Hackett fired after that game after putting up 52.
that was a good Christmas gift for you guys. You didn't like that?
Why are we arguing on who had it worse?
I was gonna say, do you guys remember when the Chiefs were undefeated and we let the 0-11 Chad Johnson Bengals come into Arrowhead and just slap us around?
I remember
That's
that.
the worst.
We're reminiscing all the dark days. Here we go. Matt, you have a question.
So first off, I didn't get to give my prediction. I am going to say, since the Broncos and Colts do play each other tough, I'm going to take the Broncos on this one, though. I'm going to say
6-7.
No. 24-21 Broncos. But Shane Steichen, they've come close to the playoffs every year. They're always that team that's like right there. They're right on the cusp of getting a playoff spot, and they always fall short. Would you say that if the Colts don't make the playoffs this year, is Steichen done?
I would have to say so. I think with the Irsay daughters taking over and all that, I think it would be Shane and Chris. I think it's absolutely playoff or bust. Put up or shut up. But yeah, he's done nothing except for the good rookie season as a head coach. He was really, the vibes were high, but then, last season completely just tore that all down. And he's not proven to be kind of just a sustainable head coach.
I mean, last season you had Pat McAfee calling him out for not being an organized coach. And that's got to be uncomfortable. You got a guy that's not even in the building every day. Yeah, you got a guy that's not even in the building every day. He's like, look, this is what I'm hearing. And then you kind of see it, so.
Oh, yeah.
If Steichen gets fired, is that the end of Anthony Richardson, or do you think maybe they give Anthony Richardson another shot with maybe the next coach?
I would think it would just be a complete overhaul. I'm already in kind of the mindset that if Shane and Chris were to stay, maybe they still move on from Anthony. It's just such a messy situation. I'd like to see Anthony get another, shot because I do like the guy. I do love, when the highs are high with Anthony, but the lows are so low.
And a lot more consistent.
I hopped off the board with Anthony Richardson, and I might be overdoing it just with my old school mentality. But the moment he removed himself from a game is the moment I would have never wanted him anywhere near any kind of team that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say it was that moment. I think it was the 45% career completion percentage. To me, is like, wow, we're kind of treading Tim Tebow level of like accuracy, and that's you don't even have the same. Hold on, I'm gonna finish my point. You don't have the same charisma to like pull a team into winning situations, because at least Tim Tebow was able to bring wins to the Broncos with the poor completion percentage. Anthony Richardson is doing neither, and I think that's what's tough.
And I will
he
say,
didn't even leave the bench to go take a poop like Lamar Jackson did. Like Lamar Jackson left so he can go poop.
I do. I'm on the side of, I think this was a failure based on Anthony Richardson. We always talk about getting drafted into situations.
Yep.
And I don't think this was a good match with what Shane Steichen wants his offense to look like and the player that Anthony Richardson is going to be or is. I know that there were small rumors, not big enough to where it was like, oh gosh, we got to pay attention to this, but there was little rumblings of maybe the Rams trying to get Anthony Richardson. Now that would be an offense with Sean McVay that I think he would absolutely just flourish in, because it's more of his style, motions, the jet sweep actions, the RPO types and stuff like that. So I do agree with you, Jackson. I would actually like to see Anthony Richardson get into a better situation. We always talk about quarterbacks drafted into failing situations, and I do think this is case and point of really talented quarterback, just wrong time. But I get it. The Colts kind of had to take this guy when they did. But at the same time, they could have moved on and maybe got a little something for him. Now I think they're not really going to be able to cash in on that. So there are offenses that I think he would look really good in as far as that goes. And I get the 45% completion percentage, but I think that's also on the coaching. You got to put your players in better situations, and they just weren't. You have to adjust to your players, right? That's what makes good coaches good coaches. You got to adjust to your players that you're getting. And if you didn't want them, then you got to speak up and, at least make your feelings heard about that. So anybody have thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, he looks like the player you drafted from college though. I do think some is coaching, but I've also seen him throw a football. Again, could that be coaching? Like if you took a guy, because he looks like he did in college. So you got to think, if you're taking a guy like that, you have to believe in your coaching staff to be able to work with that. So I do think some of it is coaching for sure. But at the same time, like a lot of it's on a player. Like he has to put in the work too. Mm-hmm. I do think he has a chance. Like the tools are there. So he does need to get with like a Sean McVay, a Kevin O'Connell, like go with those quarterback whisperers. I think that's how he revives his career, because outside of like guys like that, his best option is to become like a Terrell Pryor or Logan Thomas type player and just go to tight end or receiver. Because we've seen him throw a football. I mean, plain and simple.
Future Vegas Raider.
We've already done this. We've already done this ultra talented, strong arm quarterback that, didn't pan out. We've already done that before, but
AOC.
Yeah. Some would say Russell, but it's a different topic.
Wow.
But I think what makes this tough about Anthony Richardson is he's the prototypical, freak athlete. There's no doubt he's a football player. But quarterback is another thing where if you don't have touch, if you don't have accuracy, you're going to get exposed pretty quickly in the NFL. I think the big three that I can think of in terms of coaches that would be the only ones to resurrect Anthony Richardson's career would be McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Kevin O'Connell comes to mind. Now, none of those three guys really need a quarterback immediately. Maybe you can make the argument for the Rams need a predecessor for Stafford, but also too, how long of a project is Richardson? And I don't want to throw this out there, but I will. The Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid is known to resurrect quarterbacks' careers, and he did so with Michael Vick when he was back in Philadelphia, and he did a hell of a job doing it. I would not be surprised if the Chiefs, for some reason, were in the market to see if they could resurrect Anthony Richardson's career, and they definitely have the leadership, the coaching staff to do so. And I hate to throw that out there because nothing would piss me off more than the Chiefs getting a player, fixing him, and then they have another 10-year run of a solid quarterback, or at least one that's productive.
What the hell's happening to Patrick Mahomes here?
I don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to last for 20 years, to be honest. I think.
Yeah, he's got another 10 years in him, bro.
Does he want to play 10 more years?
He's only 29.
I don't know. Well, honestly, because he's won so much already, why does he want to keep playing that much longer? I would make the argument.
He doesn't love just winning every day they wake up.
I mean, what if it gets to the point where he's not really winning? He's just showing up and they're a 500 ball club.
I feel like he's going to play ball for as long as his body allows him. The Tom Brady route is he's going to be Brady, Rodgers.
He does not strike me as a Brady-esque guy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Neither does Rodgers. Yet here we are.
Oh,
Rodgers is another guy. So that's different.
Yeah. Here's a guy.
Here's a guy.
Jackson, go ahead and plug the socials for all the listeners in for tonight. Where can we find you at on the social media?
Oh, I'm at Colts Brigade on Instagram. I'm Colts Brigade on YouTube, and I'm Colts Brigade on Twitter. So,
And
that's all.
again, man, we really appreciate you coming on here tonight with us and previewing. We'll have to get you back on later on this season. And
Absolutely.
yeah, man, it's an honor to have another content creator who loves to come in and talk some football. Boys, you got anything for Jackson before we let him go?
Bro, if Daniel Jones comes out and claps Denver, I want you to talk all the shit that you can. Please do it.
Yeah.
We're going to secretly get you on the show so Matt and Corey can listen to you talk shit about how that game went. Although it's probably going to ruin your guys' draft pick chances, but, we'll take a win where we can get one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Undefeated season loading.
Yeah.
Maddie, do you got anything before we let Jackson go?
Hey man, it was great to have you on. I love your content, man.
Thank you.
It was awesome, and I'm really hoping that maybe this one ends in Denver's favor, and it's not a close one. Can you just not play as tough just this weekend?
Can you put a word in for him?
Yeah, I'm sure Daniel Jones can feel your thoughts, and he'll.
There's
right,
someone
Jackson.
in California that needs me.
There's someone. He's like, oh God, what is that? What is that? So again, man, we really appreciate you coming on with us tonight, and we'll get you back on soon.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, Jackson.
All right, we'll see you later.
Appreciate
See you, brother.
That's a fun perspective, right? It's like you get a chance to see, and honestly, I think I like that for the simple fact that he was being realistic about it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's easy for us to sit here and hype up our own teams, but even he's kind of like, yes, there are still some concerns about the Colts. No, I'm not really that high on Daniel Jones.
Rude.
Matt, your initial thoughts on his prediction of the Colts maybe getting a dub?
I mean, it's not far-fetched, and it was the same thing last week. Like I got made fun of by other Broncos fans saying it's going to be a close one. They're like, you don't know what you're talking about. The Broncos are going to blow them out, and clearly we didn't blow anyone out. It's going to be more in the same this week. They're at home, and home field advantage is always a factor. So any given Sunday, I never underestimate opponents. Ever since that Patriots game against the Broncos on primetime, I will never underestimate any opponent. So, this could be the one that the Colts could prevail. Will it happen? Hopefully, and probably not. But I could see it.
Yeah, and real quick, I do want to talk a little bit about tomorrow's game, Thursday night game. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to JBW for being our big sponsor and sponsoring the War Room, this veteran-owned, community-driven, safety focus. So, Jeff, thank you again for sponsoring and taking the chance on us in the War Room. Let's talk a little bit about tomorrow night, this Green Bay and Washington. This is actually a pretty good Thursday night game. There's a lot of storylines in this. Jaden Daniels, it's the Packers who are coming off a really good win at home against the Lions, which the Lions are kind of who we thought they may actually be after losing their coordinators. What is your thoughts on tomorrow night's matchup, Cody?
I think we are going to see the Commanders kind of pull away and show that they're actually contenders in their respective division in the East. And I think the Green Bay Packers, all that fandom that was excited for Jordan Love, Micah Parsons, those that thought they were going to the Super Bowl because they beat up on the Lions, who have all brand new coaching other than Dan Campbell. I think this is going to put things in reality that the Commanders are the real team that has taken the step forward and are the real contenders in the NFC. And I think the Green Bay Packers are going to kind of be put back down to earth to be like, hey, you guys may be pretty good in your division, but in terms of being the best in the NFC, maybe not quite there yet. So I would say, in my opinion, I'm looking for the Commanders to really exercise their experience and do well in Thursday night's game.
So you're
I'm opposite end of that spectrum.
That's what I kind of figured this just for the simple fact that two good defenses. You love defense. Give us your thoughts on those two defenses matching up.
Yeah, and I'm actually not a big Jordan Love guy, but we were watching NFL show earlier, and I read some articles. He has the longest active streak in the NFL of most consecutive games without an interception. So he's not losing games for them. I do think the Packers defense, barring any catastrophic injuries, will be a top 3 to 5 defense in the NFL this year. I mean, they were already really good last year. You're not going to get worse with Micah Parsons. I actually think this is a game where Green Bay, their defense comes out to prove that, yes, we are good, but these are the games why we went out and got Micah Parsons. With that being said, I do still think it's going to be a good game. I trust Green Bay's defense a little more than I trust the Commanders' defense. But with that being said, I also trust the Commanders' offense a little more than I do the Packers' offense at this point. I actually think it's just going to be one beautiful defensive game. Mm-hmm. I end up thinking it's going to come down to the quarterback who makes the play, the big play, or doesn't make the mistake. And I think both of those favor Jaden Daniels. I think he's facing a tougher defense, but I still trust him to make the play or not make a stupid play before Jordan Love. So with that said, I still think Commanders edge it out. But this game, I think the biggest statement we're going to see from this game is the Packers defense specifically is the real deal and can carry them very far on a playoff run. They are that good defensively.
Maddie, I want to ask you real quick. We did see the Commanders' offense struggle at times against the Giants last week. This is a little bit better of a team that they're going to face just based on the Packers' offense is obviously a little better. The Commanders' offense is going to have to play a lot better and put more points up tomorrow, I believe. Are they able to maybe have a bounce back against the Packers' defense that looks pretty good?
I think they will. I think that Jaden Daniels, he's just confident. He never, even with all their struggles, you can tell he never lost his confidence. He didn't put his head down and just kind of like hide in the sand. Like he put his helmet on, he got in the field, and he led his offense down the field when he needed to. He made plays when he needed to. Not just him in general, the whole team in general. Just kind of like, hey, let's play for each other. Let's find our rhythm and go. And they did. And every team is like, you're not going to have the perfect drive every game. You're going to struggle here and there. Things aren't going to work. Things are going to work. So I think they're going to bounce back. And again, we talked with Chris from Couch Coach Live a couple weeks ago, and I mentioned the Commanders secondary, in my opinion, is very underrated. Mm-hmm. And I think if they're able to showcase their ability, they could definitely put a stop to Jordan Love and the Packers offense. And I think they will. I don't think it's going to be, they're going to go pound for pound, like you're a touchdown for touchdown. I also don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I do see the Commanders winning at least by 2 scores in this game.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
That's actually a lot.
That is a lot.
In the grand scheme of guessing.
Cody, you got something. I can see you're spinning right now.
No. I'm actually agreeing that the Commanders could probably win by 2 scores, and it's not because it's not a good Green Bay defense. It's just like that Green Bay offense when it sputters and they go 3 and out, and you have to put that defense back on the field that's tired, and you got a Commanders offense, and I agree with Matt. It's really good. Jaden Daniels not really having a huge sophomore slump quite yet. I mean, it's week 1.
I think we're underplaying the Packers offense a little here, guys. They are a good offense.
I mean, they are, but you're asking my opinion. I'm saying the Commanders, I think I trust a little bit more on the defensive side and offense in terms of like as a whole. And, Green Bay, I think, has a lot of promise. It could be a slugfest where like Green Bay sneaks out with a field goal for the win. I think so. Or could potentially, but I still think the Commanders ultimately are the team that comes out on top. And I wouldn't be surprised if it is 2 score. I'm not saying that it's a blowout. It's just, if the Commanders get on a roll with how their defense could stop Green Bay, let's say, they get back on that field and they just march down, it's possible. And I could see it happening more so than Green Bay's defense shutting down the Commanders. I don't think that's likely to happen, to be honest.
Where's this? Is it in Green Bay?
Yes.
It's in Green Bay.
Yeah, then I do have Green Bay coming out and just slapping Washington.
Okay, that's fine. You can have them do whatever they want. I think the Commanders are too well coached, and I think Jaden Daniels is leading that offense to where they're not going to be shut down. They've played better defensive competition and have come out with better results than anticipated. And I think Jaden Daniels and that offense are really good. Huh?
They've only played the Giants. We're only 1 week in.
Well, okay, Green Bay only played the Lions.
Yeah, that's exactly. The Lions are a good offense.
Okay, and the Green Bay Packers are an okay defense, I guess. So
We really are friends, guys.
No, we are. I think we're overselling Washington's defense a little bit and underselling Green Bay's.
I'm not even saying that Washington defense is top 10. I'm just saying like they could make some stops if needed. Like, that's what I think.
Yeah, I tend to lean that way. I think give me the Commanders by a touchdown. I do think Jaden Daniels is going to. I think they're going to get back on track. I think the only issue would maybe the run game for the Commanders. I don't know if Bill's the guy quite yet, but we'll see.
He was actually the number 1 rated running back from week 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I am excited for tomorrow's game. That's kind of why I wanted to talk about it real quick before we got off of here for the night. Do you guys have anything else before we go home?
Defense wins games. Don't forget that, boys.
I didn't forget it. Thank you for reminding me. Friday, big show, guys. Friday, big show. Big show. John Abraham. I'm going to reach out to him tomorrow, see if there's anything he really wants to talk about. But I know last I checked, he was still good to go. Yeah, this is again, I said it last night. I'll say it again tonight. This is going to be a fun episode with John Abraham. I do encourage you guys go watch some John Abraham highlights. He was one of the better ones. So super excited about that. Let's talk about some other partnerships that we've recently gathered. You first.
All right, so we got the Beard Club. I think all their link information is going to be below, attached to the episode. And then we got Shank It Golf. Very fitting because that's usually what I do on a golf course. Perfect match. But their information and everything's also going to be included. Make sure to click the link. Go get your either beard stuff, golf stuff, both. That way your beard and your golf game's looking fresh when you hit the links. But all their information is on our IG and will be on episode descriptions as well.
Maddie, let's talk about the new Westie Bestie.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have Badger Barrel Cookers. They are veteran owned. They look pretty awesome, and they're portable too. These smokers are portable, and you can use it as a smoker or you can use it as a grill. So it's like 2 different pieces. Looks awesome. Their link is in our bio as well, and in our last post. Their link is in there as well. So
you're going to be here talking a lot about those guys here coming up. And again, let's give a big shout out to JBW Solutions, veteran owned, community driven, safety focused. Jeff and his team, believers in the war room. Let's also give a shout out to Angie and her team over at Emporia State Federal Credit Union, Shovic's Banking of Choice, Troy and his group at Field Ops, Kansas. Those guys. So guys, our partnerships and sponsors, they're growing. They're taking the chance on us. And without you guys in the chat and watching, it would not be possible. So as Cody stated, huge episode Friday. John Abraham set to join the war room live in studio with us. We're super excited to talk to him about that. So until Friday, we'll see you guys then.